All right. Well, other people can come in if they want to. So, yeah. Um, I'll just say a few words and then we can just talk. As you know, this is just an open discussion. There's no parameters here. And there's no parameters because all there is what is. There isn't anything else. Just this, simply this neutralness, this unconditional neutrality, this quality that is impossible to describe because it's already what is. There's nothing to find, nothing to look for or discover under, under something. It's just what is, just what seems to be happening. All there is what seems to be happening. And um, yeah, it's a strange thing to. It's something that we're talking about, which is impossible to describe. So I'm not going to be able to come up with a very clever description for you, which is going to make everything better. Because there's nothing better. There's nothing. There's no. Uh, there's no sort of good and bad. There's no right and wrong. There's none of this sort of kind of quality, different qualities. There's just what is. That's an extremely neutral quality. It's the best word I can use. It's just neutral. That doesn't mean that there aren't sensations and feelings and responses to whatever arises. It's not saying that there's somehow this sort of that everything is kind of flat and there's no feeling. And quite the opposite. It's actually that the feeling is direct and immediate. But the nature of the nature of there being this idea of somebody observing that and there being some observer which is kind of validating or creating an idea about something being good and bad and right and wrong and having beneficial or not beneficial qualities as an as a fundamental truth. There is no such thing. There is no truth. There is nothing to find. All
It's
there is
normally like,
all there is this immediacy.
what is this immediacy? Oh,
Sorry, did somebody say something?
no,
Okay, I'm just gonna just mute people that are not muted
yes.
yet, so we can yeah, that's okay, great. If you want to say something, you can, of course, just unmute yourself and we can talk. Um, yeah. So I mean, there's nothing particular to say. It's not something that can be described or talked about. It is the nature of the child. It is a nature of something which has always been there. It's always been has always been, but something obscures that quality of something of what obscures natural reality, we might call it, is the quality of seeking, and that seeking, that energy of seeking, is what is the sense of separateness. So that seeking energy is what feel is what that feels, that creates that illusion of a sense of separateness, and that sense of separateness carries on until it just somehow doesn't. The energy for that separateness, for that meing, for that energy of that me state, I call it the me state, that quality, just falls away for no reason at all. It just falls away. It seems to fall away. In fact, nothing happens. It's the end of happening, actually, the end of happenings. Things that happen always happen in time. And this is not about something that happens in time. This is not about a story. This is not about something which is sequential. This is just what is. And what is doesn't need to be in a sequence. It doesn't need to have a past. It doesn't need to have a future. It just is what it is. Everything else is just extra. It's just extra. It's just additional. It's just stuff on top of something that is just nothing. So it's a kind of yeah. It's a strange world that is created around that me state that seems to carry on until it doesn't. So we can talk about this. Um, there won't be any answers, of course, because there can't be any answers. But what we can discuss is just how this feels, what that quality of frustration or difficulty that comes out of a sense of being, seeming to be a me, and just the end of that.
Okay, so hi, David.
Hi, Johan. Hi.
I'm from the Netherlands. I
Oh,
came
hi.
across
Hi. Nice to meet you.
your site recently. So I guess there's not even this immediacy, is there? Only the thing
No.
it points towards.
No, there isn't a thing called immediacy. No, I mean it's very easy for that to be turned into. I mean, this is the problem with words, really, because the me will try to turn anything, including immediacy, into a word because it's something that we want to try to hold on to. The me wants to kind of go, oh yeah, this is mine. Immediacy is mine. No, immediacy is just a word, a word that has a sort of resonance around what is being expressed.
So in that sense, it could be replaced by truth or reality.
I mean, it could be, but it could be replaced by table or pencil. Do you see what I mean? In the same
Right.
way, but truth and has got a certain quality about it, which is it's deceptive. Immediacy doesn't really have any quality. You can't really put your finger on it, whereas truth is really the attempt to try to put your finger on it. So I mean I mean everybody has the words that they are more resonant with, but there are some words that I think come more out of the dualistic description of the which is coming from that me state and truth is very commonly one of them. You know, it's more complex to use that. Yeah.
It carries more charge because of its
Yeah.
usage in the past.
Yes, I mean it does. It carries more charge, like the word God or love as well. You know, all of those things carry charge. I mean, people wouldn't consider love to be neutral. I mean, it's very. I mean, love for a lot of the time, different people mean different things, but it very often is associated with something very important, and is kind of like, you know, that's the high level, you know, whereas something which is unconditional, you know, doesn't have that. It's just flat in a way. It's not. It doesn't have a something better or worse, up or down. You know, it's something else. You know, so natural reality is all on that plane, if you like.
I can absolutely see why you choose this term. Yeah, yeah.
You know, that it's it's just it's an easier, well, it's never an easy conversation, but it's an easier description. Yeah, that's all it really is in a way. It's kind of like a description which um, has less stickiness, maybe. Yeah,
Descriptions get shorter and shorter. Um,
yeah,
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 thank you.
yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. There's nothing to find at all. Hi, Marianne.
Hey, David.
Hi.
Uh, Illimited energy could be found.
Can you say that one more time?
The energy illimited, boundless energy.
Energy limit energy that's limited
Not
or
illimited.
unlimited. Okay, yeah,
Unlimited. Could
yeah.
be found.
No, I mean there's no finding there's no finding anything. There's I mean there's a sort of intense seeking which goes on to try to find something which you might call unlimited energy. But where would you find unlimited energy? It's already everything. There's not a place to find. I mean, I've mentioned this before, it's like a rainbow. You're trying to find the end of the rainbow, and the pot of gold is unlimited energy. And actually, the more you go towards that, the further away it goes. Um, because all there is gold, if you like.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Isso aqui, ó. Pegou. Ah, essa foi muito boa, Dac. Adorei essa foto.
So, David,
Hi, Johan. Yeah.
hi. I heard, I think it was Tony, I heard use the term "neverything."
Yes. Hmm.
Would that be a apt substitute for dissimmediacy?
Yes. Oh, yes. 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 It many different ways of expressing that, all meaningless, of course. But yes, everything is a lovely one. Yeah. And yeah, there's aliveness. I like aliveness as well. I use that a lot. I tend to use sort of things which are or words that I have a feeling about, rather than that have got something up here, that sort of go up into the head and you kind of have to think about somehow. Words I feel a resonance with. Yeah.
And
But yeah, everything is lovely. Yeah.
how would dissimmediacy relate to the absolute and consciousness, if you're familiar with the way Nisargadatta used them?
Yeah, I mean, um, I mean, right. Well, it's a big sort of
I've been
question.
around.
I mean, I don't know how Nisargadatta used those words and how and what he meant by those words. That's the real difficulty about sort of, in a way, sort of trying to describe what another teacher, or and one of these teachers, would use. I mean, there's not anything to teach here. This is not a teaching, and there's a sort of we amongst those teachers, which I think describe Nisargadatta as one of those teachers. There is a lot of different meanings of what they're talking about, which is very often a sort of process of getting somewhere. It's a sort of process of becoming something. There's always that sort of thing of like, oh, eventually you will become. Eventually you'll get there. Eventually, if you understand something in a deep way, then you will find the end of the rainbow. But actually, there is that this what is expressed in this communication is not anything to do with the teaching. It's just what is. It's not. There's no way of getting it. Nobody will get what is expressed here because there isn't anybody. So it's impossible to get what is expressed. And therefore wonderfully, it's impossible to actually become. It's impossible to get to that ultimate consciousness or higher plane. This is the sort of the end of sort of uh, all ambition to get somewhere. This doesn't have any of that in it, of course, because there is nothing. So there's no where there's no steps. There's no steps to what to this. This can't be, can't be stepped into. It's the step. It's everything. So it's I think, and this I'm not an expert on Nisargadatta, but I think that there seems to be wording around what's being expressed, which looks like that's a kind of teaching.
Yeah, sure. I would guess the absolute would be the thing Nisargadatta would say, would correspond best. But experientially, for lack of a better word, it should point to the same thing, shouldn't it?
Well, I mean, the yeah, I mean, um, the subject and object. There is no subject and object. So, I mean, there is only what is. I mean, I don't know if that's what Nisargadatta was expressing, but all I can say is that that's all there is. There's there's nothing to look for. Ultimately, I mean, there's the energy of the me state, is just the energy of the me state, and by quite naturally it seeks. That's in a certain sense a quality of contraction. It's a quality of contraction which creates a sense of separateness, and then there is immediately a response from that is to try to find what seems to be severed, what seems to be over there. There seems to be that seeking, and that seeking just simply goes on until that energy is no more. That
It,
energy just runs out in a way.
immediately there's a need to expand, you could say.
Yeah, maybe you could describe it like it's a quality. Yes, I mean, in a certain sense, I think it's a good way of describing it. There's a sense of contraction and immediately a desire to expand out of that contraction. You could say it's a spontaneous process that seems to occur, and that's it. And so it's got nothing to do with anybody.
No.
There's nobody that does that. And then of course, why would it possibly be that then you have to become something in order to fix that? It's completely ridiculous. It was never something that was done in the first place. Nobody ever did any of these things. That nobody ever did anything. And so yeah, it's a strange sort of belief system that we then have to sort of find it's up to us. It's my responsibility to fix myself.
Mhm.
And that then gets hooked into people that will then say, yes, yes, I know how to do it because I'm already there.
Right.
This is completely different. This is actually saying that there is nobody.
Yeah.
There's nobody expressing this. There's nobody there, asking those questions. Those questions are just simply coming out of what is. And so is this answer. And this answer doesn't have to be this, as I've said before, this could be a dog barking, or it could be just you talking to the cupboards at the back. It wouldn't make any difference. That you might find the conversation better with them, but I don't know. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay, but the expansion and contraction should happen.
This is only what seems to happen now, because
Yeah.
this can
Ah,
move into a story about
yeah.
this happening. There's no time. Yeah. So,
Right. Yeah.
but for yes, sorry, continue.
That should happen not as much simultaneously, rather than timelessly. But
Yes, exactly. This is what I was.
yeah.
I saw that could be the next thing. That it's. I think that um, these things seem to happen. Yeah, they seem to happen. That's all really that can be said, because there's no time to discuss a story about what seems to have happened, a contraction, and then the end of that contraction. So it's not very difficult to talk about that. But what seems to happen is that there's a sense of contraction, and then that sense of contraction just simply vanishes, it disappears, and there isn't that. And a way of describing that perhaps can be just simply that the energy is no longer involved in that sense of being me, that sense of meing just sort of blows its fuses.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, David.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes. Hi, Charles. Yeah, nice to see
Could we say that this is all this is a dream?
you.
It's real and not real,
Yes. I mean, yes. It's real and unreal.
and the me entity
A dream is yeah.
not
Depends what you mean by dream, because it's
not
both
real.
real and unreal. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing where it becomes something where it becomes about something trying to know what it is. This is a dream seems to be like, okay, I know what this is now. This is a dream. Okay, but it's actually unknowable, just completely unknowable. A toddler just walks around completely not knowing not knowing. It's just an unknowingness.
But
That's the freshness about it, the newness about it is the unknowing quality, the unknown of it. But so yes, carry on.
but we agree that the me entity is an illusion, or the me state is an illusion.
Well, the me state is energy in that form.
in that form.
I mean,
But
it's just it's energy in that form. There, I mean, yes, there is nothing is real, nothing is absolute, and there is no entity called me, a solid thing.
no, no. But is there a difference between the me entity and the dream, or it's the same thing?
Um, well, the me state, it
Yeah,
creates that sense, and it's only a sense that there is something called a me, which is a solid center. That contraction, in a certain sense, the contraction of energy feels a little bit solid, right? And so it feels in that contraction there is an idea that there's a sort of center to everything called me,
and he
and that
feels
is an illusion. That is a
that.
that is an illusion. An illusion. It's what seems to happen. It's a quality of energy.
But
That
the me states feels real. He
yeah.
feels that he's
Well,
real.
it is the only it is the only because all that the me has a sense of um I am real,
Yeah,
then everything else must be real. And that realness happens in time. So there's time that's going on.
yeah.
And because time's going on and there's a beginning, a middle, and an end of me, it makes it real. But reality doesn't really have any meaning. It doesn't. What is real? It's a completely ridiculous idea. It can't be known. There's nothing that can be known. So there's nothing that is established as real. You can't establish anything as being real. You can't know anything. You can't pin it down and say this is. It's this is something.
I think it was Jim Newman saying that everything is real. There is nothing being everything.
Yes, nothing being everything,
Everything,
real and
everything is
unreal.
not.
Yeah.
Everything is not real, but everything is real and not real.
Yes. So, but if you take that statement, something being real and not real, it's a total paradox. And
Yeah,
and
yes,
and in that paradox, all that's left is, oh, this is absolutely unknowable. It's just so, I mean, the only thing that I can say is that there's all there is unknowableness.
mm. Just like lately, the word came into my mind. The word reset.
Yeah.
Could we say that when the me falls away, there's a kind of a apparent reset?
I would say that no. I mean, all what's recognized is that all there is it has, this is the wrong terminology, but has always been this. It's that it never hasn't been this.
Okay.
There's not there's just this, and then something that sort of contracts over the top of this for a little bit. I'm describing it in a particular way, but there's something that sort of contracts over what is, and then that contraction falls away, and then all that's left is still what is. So it's in a way that it's like a small child, just wonder. All there is wonder, and
Yeah.
then there is, oh, I'm seeing. There's an I that's seeking something, and that seems to go on until that sort of falls away, and then it's back to wonder. So all the time, in a certain sense, there was always wonder, but there was this veiling of that wonder. There was a veiling of wonder with a sense of separateness that has got nothing to do with you. this has nothing to do with anyone. This isn't a message that is directed towards people, or a description which is directed towards individuals, because that would be a teaching about something where you could get somewhere, and there is nowhere that is you can get. There's nowhere you can get, because there is no me. There is no uh, entity.
So that veiling is the me state.
And the unveiling is the me state. Did you say?
No,
The veiling, yes. Sorry, the veiling, yes. The veiling is me. Yeah, the veiling is simply what is, in the form of contraction. What is sometimes seems to form contraction, and that's what we see in a lot of human life, if you like. A quality of contraction, the human condition. It's like a virus. It's the best way to describe it. Yeah. It's nothing to work. I mean, whose fault is that? Do you see what I mean? It's nobody's fault.
No.
So there's nobody responsible, and therefore no one can get that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, David, I had a quick question.
Yes. Jamie?
Yeah, me, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie. Hi.
Hey, so I was at one of your other meetings earlier in the month, and I asked a few questions, and I got
Yeah.
a bit of an answer. Um, Ever since I got into non-duality, I noticed that my relationships with other people have kind of been falling apart, and I was just wondering if
Yeah.
that was normal.
Well, it's quite so I mean, first of all, like non-duality is all there is. So you can't really get into non-duality in a way, because there isn't anything else.
Yeah.
But the message, or the statement, I prefer to call it a statement of non-duality, quite a um, is quite a challenge, I think, for energy that seems to be quite contracted around that I am me. I'm sure that I am a me, and I am going and living my life, and going after my dreams. It's quite a radical departure from that, right? But also, uh, interestingly enough, it is as common as muck. So the statement of non-duality is radical for the human world, if you like, but for everything else, it's absolutely normal. So the interesting thing is that, yes, it is difficult, I think, for um, humans at this seemingly at this moment moment. It's difficult for humans to live a life in a society created by the illusion of me, to then uh, have an inkling that actually there might be another possibility, that there isn't just that way of see that life isn't just this seeking, just all about this drive forward and this seeking. So yes, inevitably, if one person in that seeming relationship, of course there isn't such a thing, but in that seeming relationship, that there's one of those seeming people who that's sort of falling away. There's a sensitivity to that message, or that there's something that is sort of breaking down, and the other partner is avidly moving down a path of becoming and getting better and driving forward in their life, then inevitably there's a sort of yeah, it can be difficult in that way. But of course, there's nobody doing any of that. There's no choice about any of that. That's just what seems to happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. And of course, there's no better or worse as well about that. It's not this isn't about better or worse. There's no, this isn't saying that, um, that's yeah, it's not becoming. It's not about becoming. It's just what seems to happen where there are seeming people who are where there is a breaking down of that me state, and there are other seeming people where that doesn't seem to happen for whatever, and it's very much it seems to be constricted, but there isn't there can be a sort of very strong contraction and a very strong sense of me, and that can just completely fall away totally spontaneously. There is no rules to how that falls away.
Right. Thank you.
Sure. John, did you say something? No, maybe not. Just going to mute you there.
Am I muted?
Oh, hi, John. Hi. Yes.
I'm sorry, David, I'm not muted.
Oh, no
But
problem. I'll do it for you.
Now. I'll mute myself now. I'm eating a bag of crisps here.
Okay, no problem. Uzma, yes, please. Sorry. Yeah, thank you.
David.
Hi.
This idea of if there was no longer a me state, then things would be this way or that way, whether it comes to relationships or politics or the state of the world or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's also the me state, isn't it? Because you're
Yes.
thinking in terms of cause and effect, that things are actually happening when there's nothing happening.
Yes.
Really.
Yes. I mean, there's exactly. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, as you say, there is nothing there's nothing or I mean, those are fantasies, stories about what might be, and usually those stories are quite have got a sort of fantastical element to them. There's often a sort of stories which have got a spectacular ending of some kind. And essentially what is being expressed is totally ordinary. The wonder of it is the ordinariness of it. You know, it's like a child that gets, you know, like this. The parents think that they've bought this child a wonderful present, you know, for their birthday, and the child looks at that present and just starts playing with the cardboard box that it's put in. You know, it's no, there's no differentiation about what is considered to be wonderful or not. You know, so it's something which is completely normal, and that's the shock of it in a way. The shock of that, or the, I guess the shock is not the right word, but um, the incredibleness of it is that it is it is what is. It doesn't need to be anything extra. There nothing needs to be added. It's completely okay as it is. So so yeah, the fantasy stories are sort of an addition. They're sort of adding to this, because it can't be this. It's got to be something else.
Mm.
That's the uh yeah.
Yeah, I was also thinking about pain and
Yeah.
um, in terms of disability, whether it's mental or physical disability,
Yeah.
and uh, there is no correlation with that to the me state, is there? Like, it doesn't, whether a body has like seeming struggle or not, doesn't necessarily mean that there's a stronger or less strong me state.
No, I
It
mean,
doesn't matter.
there's no no. I think it's the nature of how the brain you know, I mean, the brain gets to a level of complexity. One might say this is a story perhaps about the nature of how that develops, is that, you know, in a small child, that the level of complexity in the brain gets to a certain point where there is a possibility of being able to abstract a sense of me. So that seems to be what happens, and so the as long as that sort of process occurs, seems to happen, then the me state can very easily, you just naturally sort of forms, just naturally forms. And it does so in many different cultures, even cultures which are kind of quite far distant from this culture, but you know, in you know, can be, you know, uh, um, and you know, cultures that are actually more connected to the earth, and you know, have got more you know, sensitivity to natural surroundings. Even there is qualities of contraction about around the me state for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, when it comes, so a person's disability, I mean, when it comes to sort of a quality of disability that perhaps could affect the development of the brain, um, I don't know, not sure. You know, I wouldn't be able to say about that. Maybe there's a qualitative difference in that type of person, where there is no, you know, establishment or difficulty of an establishment of there being a quality of of the abstraction of a sense of me. I don't know that. But it's possible. It's possible.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, sure. There's certainly some people, I've worked in, health for that field for quite a long time, and there's certainly certain individuals with particular, uh, I would say, sort of, developmental issues, and it is very clear that there is much more of a sense of wonder there. And interestingly, at the end of life, with various different, again, different issues, it's something seems quite similar. There can be the degradation, if you like, of the the very strong sense of self, and then there can be a sort of more childlike quality that emerges, which also has that seemingly a quality of freedom to it. But I can't, I can't know this. This is just what I've seen, how what seems to present. Yeah. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, David. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Um, you said once that trying to control the breath is like violence.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, it was a quote from a book, but yeah, it was from the Tao Te Ching. But yeah, it's a I liked that quote. Not all, I don't like all of the quotes from these certain books, but I did like that one in a certain sense because it's just referring to it's a metaphor really, which is just pointing out that anything where there's a sort of attempt by the me to get somewhere, attempt by a sense of the me state trying to get better in some way um, to do something in order to end itself, is inevitably something which simply just reinforces the sense of self.
Hmm. Yeah, interesting. Wow, reinforces.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter that it reinforces or not. It doesn't mean that it's going to carry on any longer or any shorter or long, whatever. It's not
Yeah.
really. I'm not saying that it's bad if that's sort of reinforced, if you like. But what it seems to do is to encourage the idea that there is a path, that you're getting somewhere, and that if you breathe in exactly the right way, then you're going to reach a particular, you're going to reach something which is kind of quite spectacularly crazy. Because once again, this has got nothing to do with me. There's nothing to do with the me state. This has got nothing to do with anything
Right.
that the me state wants or believes, has a fantasy about. The me state is simply an energetic mechanism.
But is
It's
it
got
the me
nothing.
that,
Sorry. Yeah.
so yeah, an energetic mechanism.
Natural. It's just natural. It's got nothing to do with people, human, the me, coming in and doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
No one's responsible because there's no me.
hmm. Okay. You just take the edge off of my questions. Um, Okay. Well, there's a sense that there's, a desire for relief with certain breath practices. And the
Yeah, that's
relief
okay.
is, yeah, I mean, it's, but I guess the idea that it would diminish or eliminate the energetic mechanism of me is not. It's actually the me that would be thinking in that way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's sort of more. I mean, when you're doing, I think that when it's a path, when it's a path, when it's something that is a
Mhm.
path to get somewhere, I think that that's really what I was
Yeah.
describing as being, it's a formula to become,
Yeah.
that's very much a sense of me. But when there's sort of a desire to breathe or to take a breath or to do whatever, to move the body in a particular way, the body naturally, goes towards what is pleasurable, and that is a sort of self-righting mechanism. So it isn't there's no requirement of there being a path to get somewhere.
Yeah.
The body does it naturally.
Uh-huh.
And that can
Um,
involve breathing. So,
uh-huh.
if there's a desire to breathe there, that's just what it is, There's
Yeah, yeah.
and also, when if the me state, it believes in breath and meditation and that and all the rest of it to try and get somewhere or whatever it is, that's just what's happening. That's just what's happening. There isn't it doesn't matter at all. Nothing matters. It doesn't matter. There's no because you're not going to get there any faster or slower if you do meditation or you don't do meditation, because there is nowhere to get.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you first said that at the beginning of your response, the words that came to me were like net zero.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
there wasn't
Neutrality.
anything there to begin with, and there isn't going to be anything there in the end, but there may be an illusion of it. But the
Yeah.
illusion is going to be what it is. Yeah. So, okay. Well, thanks. Nice to
No,
talk to you.
thank you. Thank you. No, thank you.
David,
Yes.
I don't
Please.
see anywhere where I can raise my hand, so that's why I
No,
start talking.
no problem. It's
Great.
Zoom is a complicated world. Yeah, I totally understand.
I
Yeah.
was wondering, in answering the question, is there rather something than nothing? One cannot help but establish one's presence or presence. And if this immediacy is all there is, shouldn't it also refer to presence or the thing you are most deeply?
I mean, presence or now very often is something in relation to a future and a past.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a future, there's a past, and then there's the present, right? That's why, I wouldn't use that term, presence or now, um, you know, uh, because there is no time. So immediacy is just simply, or the way that I'm describing that is immediacy is simply the absence of time.
Yes. But you cannot help but establish that there's rather something than nothing. That's your own immediate experience, right?
I mean, what do you mean by something? What do you mean by there's something?
Not nothing. Not
Not
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
If there was only nothing, you couldn't even ask the question. So there you are.
Well, I mean, I think that you have clearly had got a sense that of what something is, which is kind of interesting because something is quite impossible. There's not something, and there's to define what something is. I mean, all there is just a description, a word that you're using to describe something.
Mhm. Okay,
But
but
that's all it is. It's just a word. It's
yeah,
not, it isn't, it isn't, that's not enough to really have it, to really, to really own it, is it? I mean, that's not going to be enough, just a word.
sure. But apart from semantics, experientially, there's rather you do find something if you ask the question to yourself: is there rather something than nothing, or rather?
Well, the me loves there to be something. It doesn't like the idea of nothing. That's the it loves something, because something relates to something solid, which is about me. I'm solid, I'm real, and therefore everything is real. So it makes everything a kind of a solid thing called, something solid. Yeah, it's very often something which is in that sort of quality of contraction. There's a sense of solidness, which
Mhm.
is what is described as what the me, in a certain sense, in its anxiety, wants to hold on to something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So nothing is a bit scary in a way because it's saying that there's nothing to hold on to, or there's nothing to kind of, that there's no, you know, but actually a better thing than talking about nothing, something, all of the rest of it is just simply to express that it is just unknowable. You can't. There's something. If you try to go into, is it something or is it nothing? This is going on here. This is a very intellectual kind of ideological thing. And what we're discussing here is not something that can be understood. It's something which is unknowable, and or it's something it's nothing. It's unknowable,
so
and
if I put the question differently, then, and the essence of the question is: does this immediacy, the unknowable, refer to that which you most deeply are, as in the "I am that" of Nisargadatta, for instance?
yeah, well, this is the point. I mean, Nisargadatta has always said, I mean, I am that is quite it's quite a difficult, I would find that a very difficult, catchment of words to kind of resonate with. Just the mere fact that there is an I am statement involved is the me seeking something. So that is, it is the me seeking something outside of itself. There's a sense in that I am that of an inside and an outside, and that to me is a path. That's
All right.
dualism in a way. So,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, there isn't even that. There's just what is. I mean, it's much more simple. This is utterly simple. This is the child language of playing with cardboard boxes and sandcastles and, stuff like that. It's that it's not hybrid. There seems to be with the teachers uh, are teachers of non-duality, which of course therefore extinguishes the fact that it could have anything to do with non-duality. But the teachers of a teaching um, are quite highbrow. It's sort of like it's kind of like, wow, yeah, this is really kind of like, high intellectual stuff. It's really, you really have to understand it. Now, this is not something that you can understand. This is more simple than simple.
Do you agree that in the end there's no difference?
Well, in the end, I mean, in the end, there's no difference. I mean, there's no difference. What we're doing here is we're talking around this non-duality, and there's a difference in the expression that comes out of when there is no one there. That expression that comes out of that is very different to, I would say, Nisargadatta.
Yeah,
Because there's nothing to teach. There's nothing here that you can grasp hold of and go home and learn and figure something out. There's absolutely nothing on offer here. There's nothing to that the me can take home with, you know. And so I think um, I think that there's a difference in that communication. Having said that, Nisargadatta and what's going on there is what is.
it points to the same thing.
And I don't think it does. I don't think it points to the same thing. I think that it's a miss. It's a something that's uh, uh, I think it's something that is pointing to a personal enlightenment, an idea of personal enlightenment, and this statement, this what's being expressed here is the point that there's no such thing as personal enlightenment because there isn't anyone.
Of course, that's the same message in the end. I think.
I mean, maybe I don't know about that. I mean, this is the thing. There's a lot with a lot of these different people. There can be a lot of statements that are expressed, and in the midst of that is a lot of teaching.
Sure, but in the end, the thing that all teachings point towards, there's no wiggle room. Of course, it's the same.
I mean, it's
This immediacy.
teaching simply just ends when there is no teacher and no teaching.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't see that with Nisargadatta. I see a teacher, and I see there being something in a certain sense in the way of what is. There are with certain established teachers, there is something in the way of what is. There is a sense of a me state in the way veiling what is that needs to be gotten to or accessed or learnt about or becoming.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
that in a certain sense is a veiling of what is,
I think they would.
which still is what is.
Sure. Yeah. They use a thorn to extract another thorn, and
Well, it's still
Okay.
trying to do something. It's still
Too much words,
extracting
I
one
think.
thing using another thing, which is essentially a process of becoming. It's still the same. It's just a method. One thorn over another thorn. I mean, there's no requirement because all there is what is. There's nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you.
There was nothing that was found here. All that seemed to happen was that the energy to try to find died. And that's kind of putting it in a quite a dramatic term. Really, it's the me state is quite irrelevant. It's like you know, yes, it's something which it seems to be so so much focus is associated with it, and actually it's trifling.
Hi, David.
Hi, who's that?
Hello. It's Hassan.
Hi, Hassan. Hi, I got you.
Hi.
Yeah, see, yes, yeah.
Um, just after the last thing that you said, a thought came that was funny. It says, I hope that hope dies.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's hypocritical.
No, it's
But
very understandable.
yeah, there is this exhaustion with this
Yeah,
forward moving.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes. That exhaustion is I really remember that very strongly, that exhaustion with everything around, trying to find and seeking. And yeah, I definitely resonate with what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, there used to be this strong belief, not belief, but the object of hope. I used to believe in God or love or,
Yeah.
relationships or immigrating, like
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
sorts of things.
I've done those
And all
things.
of them fail.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Wonderfully
Yeah.
failed. Yes. Yeah. Because yeah, it can't be found. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
the, it's like hitting your head on a wall. You, is it this way? No, that's the wall. Is it this way? It's got to be one of these, but every way seems to hit your head on a wall. Yeah, and yeah, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somehow it seems like all that's left is without that object of hope, there is just the mechanism of hope. And as you
Yeah.
described it, it's just constantly hitting the wall. And even trying to reach things, but without really believing that anything is going to come out of them.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. There was many journeys that I made, and, traveling or whatever it was, where there was at the beginning of that journey, there was a complete sense that I wasn't going to find what I was looking for,
Yeah.
but I would do it anyway,
Yeah.
and a lot of people do that with meetings as well. So there's a sense of like, oh, I've got to, go into the meeting because I'm going to find something there, but at the same
Mm.
time, you kind of know, but I know that I'm not going to find something there because there's nothing, that can be found. which is just absolute, madness, isn't it? Really, it's quite crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what seems to be happening. And there's the wonderful thing is that there's no one in control of that. There's nobody in control at all. There's nobody that's going to decide there that that you should do something or you shouldn't do something. There's no control.
Mm. That feels like a wonderful secret, that like
It's a wonderful absence.
mm,
It's an absence. That's the best word I can use, is that it isn't somebody doing something. It's just the absence of there being anything to do anything anymore. And it seems like that there is a sort of fading out of doing a lot and trying to do a lot and then realizing, oh, but that doesn't get anywhere. And then there's a sort of fading out of that energy. It's dying. The me state is dying, it's dying. Yeah.
mm,
And all that's left is
it's
just this. All that's left is this car, sitting in a car, looking at a screen, cups, saucers, you know, bookcases. That's it.
mm,
That seems to be completely irrelevant for the seeker. That's just completely that's irrelevant. Give me something else. It's got to be something better than that. This is just a car. It's just a car, or it's just a cup. I mean, what, what's it? What's in that? That's all there is. That's the wonder is in that. It's the cardboard box. I think I should sell cardboard boxes.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yelena?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yeah,
Hi.
hi. I just wanted to say that it's like it's crazy to me how the character confirms itself a- at every single instance. Like and I forgot how that is already because there's such a like dropping off from that sort of energy.
Yeah.
So, I only notice it if I'm, let's say like I was hanging out with my family and everybody's sitting around the table and, one person says, it is your thoughts that make your reality. And it's like a double effect. Every single person after that, they're going around the table confirming that exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this is so wild because I used to be so into this. Like I totally believe this. And
Yeah.
now I'm looking at them as if they're like aliens. Like I can't believe that they're saying that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
it's so crazy because, I mean, even if you take it simply as that, okay, let's say that is true, right? But if your thoughts do create your reality, why would you be where you are?
Yeah. 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 I mean,
Right?
I think that this is yeah, there's a lot of it's again in a way. The funny thing is that although that's sort of like a kind of quite new age thing, which is your thoughts create your own reality.
Mhm.
Of course, that is also the very traditional established ideology about religion. It is
Yes.
religion. so all of that is religious energy,
Oh, it's amazing. It's just it's amazing to me because I it's like it's hard to like if I'm speaking to someone, I have to kind of like what this does now is like it has to kind of bring itself back and say, oh, hey, remember we used to feel this way too? And then like in order to have a conversation, because I feel like it's now like everything like that is rejected immediately. So it's
Yeah.
very difficult. And if you say if I do say something, then it automatically I get attacked, like crazy attacked. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's it's very
Well, I
interesting.
mean, yeah, I think that it is something which is, I mean, talking about what is to people where there is a very clear sense of me that's what's going on.
Yeah.
You're talking in a completely different uh, it's a completely different conversation. So
Yeah.
it's not something that you can necessarily do and feel that it's going to be an easy communication,
Oh yeah.
because it's yeah.
Yeah, it's a different, total different, it feels like a different paradigm completely. So it's
Well, it is what is.
yeah,
It's just that there's there's energy in that in a quality where there's a quality of contraction there. But of course, nobody's doing that, and so whether they whether
hmm
there is a sense of that or not, there isn't anybody that's doing any of this.
right. Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And I heard you speak about teachers earlier, and prior to hearing this communication, I was into Nisargadatta, Dr. David Hawkins. And
Yeah,
it's a totally different
yeah, yeah.
different no matter what it is, I think the intention in any character is, their best intention. Like I just think they're doing what they know best,
Yeah,
based on based on the capacity of the listener, just
yeah,
basing it
yeah.
off of
And there
myself,
can be a
right?
very genuine,
Yes.
desire to help,
Yeah. Yeah.
and this is what really is there. But of course, huge desire to help
Yeah.
establishes that idea that there is somebody that can be helped.
Yep, absolutely,
So it's
100%.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's interesting because when I used to listen to them, I used to I never heard, there's only a few instances, very few, that I pinned videos a long time ago, and then I went back and I'm like, oh my God, they did say there is nobody there. They did say that
yeah,
there's no
yeah.
person, but I did not hear that. And I heard a teaching. And in most cases, I still do hear the teaching. So I don't listen to it. It's not, it doesn't rouse interest anymore.
But I
But
mean, when there is a teaching mixed with lines of what you might call this,
right.
uh, it's still a teaching. There's
Yeah.
there's still the
Yeah.
inevitably that there's still teaching in amongst words that relate to perhaps what we're talking about, but it doesn't really come from the same. It's not. It's just a different conversation.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
what you're saying is,
Right. Yeah, because that's I guess that's what I was trying to say, is that it's kind of the same, but it's also very, very different, like certain peaks and valleys, but at the end of whatever it is, it's not, and it's definitely like I don't feel that it's wrong, because I felt like at the time I guess then just a story, but to break down the character that was so deeply rooted, certain things kind of, glided over, because I heard this conversation way before that,
yeah,
and I couldn't close my laptop faster. So I was like, nope,
yeah,
gotta learn.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I speak to several people who will say to me, oh, this is this, have a look at this person, because they're talking about something that's that you might be interested in, or that you're, and it's very clear from what from that it's completely missed. That this is that this kind of conversation is bulked in with a whole load of other things which are teachings, and because there's not really the me state is really just trying to latch onto something. It will just consider all of that as one energy that it can latch onto, called non-dualism, which is bulked out into that sort of world. But unfortunately, that's just in the certain senses that is a thing called non-dualism, whereas what is being expressed here is not anything. So there's nothing that can be grasped, because there's nothing to there's nothing to hold on to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree, because at first it was like I did like half and half with this
Yeah,
communication and the other, and then
yeah.
the other communication just completely lost its,
Yeah,
like I could listen.
I call that one
Right.
foot in the grave,
Yeah.
basically.
It's like not really sure, just tapping my foot in there,
Yeah, yeah,
and then it just got kind of like I could listen to it, and now it just completely loses its thing. Like I'm just
yeah,
like, no, this is not, no, I kind of want to, I like it, but
yeah,
it just loses its what it did I guess before, what I thought it did
yeah,
before.
yeah,
It
yeah,
lost it.
yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, thank you, David, so much.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for coming and having the conversation. It's been really lovely speaking to you. And yeah, I just to say that there's nothing to find. What you long for is already everything.
Hi, David. Before you go, thank you very much,
Yes. Yeah.
Tara. Thank
Tara,
you.
hi, Tara. Nice to see you.
Anyway, just
Yeah.
wondered if there's a space where I can make a donation.
Oh yes, oh you can if you'd like. I mean, it's not. There's no. This is all open, but on the website, on the web page, when you press the button to come in, there's
Yeah.
also a link that you can make a donation if you'd like to. Thank you. That's a
Thank
very nice thought. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you guys. See you next time. I'll send you guys an email when I have a new date. Yeah.
Thank you,
Take care of
David.
yourselves. Oh, thank you, Peter. Lovely to
Thank
see
you. Bye.
Thank
Good to see
you.
you.
you. Yeah,
Thank
good
you,
to see you.
David.
Bye.
Take care of yourself.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.